Any goal that you want to achieve is on the other side of having more self-control and more discipline. But most people have no clue how to actually build that. So what I want to do in this video is share the exact step-by-step process I use to build up my own discipline and self-control. My name is Malcolm Michiels. I've been into personal growth for about 16 years, and this channel is dedicated to sharing the lessons that actually work. Not just the stuff you see on social media that just feels good but gets you no results. So with that, let's get started with step number 1, which is you need to mind your damn words. Here's what I mean. People often say things like, oh, I can never be disciplined. I couldn't do that. I'm just a loser. I'm not confident. I'm shy. I'm introverted. I'm too X. I'm too Y. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm a man. I'm a woman. All of these excuses. And I'm even just tiring myself out just talking about them. And it's just like you are probably already tired of hearing the excuses from yourself. But here's the thing. When people say all of these things of I'm not this, I'm not that, I can never do it, what people think mistakenly is that they are describing their present day self, when in reality they're describing the future. So I want you to keep these 4 words in mind all the time. You follow your words. Meaning that if you say, I'm not a disciplined person, that becomes your future. Because anything that you attach to the words I am, that starts becoming part of your identity. And our mind is going to fight relentlessly to stay congruent to the person we say that we are, both to other people, but more importantly, to ourselves. So when you say, I'm not a disciplined person, guess what happens when you don't start taking action? And you actually start moving in the right path towards your goals. At some point your mind is going to say, whoa, 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 slow the fuck down. What are you doing? You're not a disciplined person. You're not supposed to be doing all of these disciplined things. And you regress back. That's when self-sabotage kicks in. And that's the reason why a lot of people are held back. It is not their abilities. It is not their talents. It is not their skills. It is not even the belief in themselves. It is that they tell themselves a story. Because they've been telling themselves the same story for the past decade or 2 decades of their lives. Let that sink in for a moment. The story you tell yourself is the story of your future, not your past, because of this identity component. So the more you hang on to it, the more likely you are to never change it all, to never develop the self-control and the discipline that you want to get. The process of reshaping beliefs like this is a bit too much to go into right here in this video, because then it would be a very long one. But I'm gonna publish a video on that later on in this channel, so make sure that you are subscribed, and while you're at it, hit that like button as well. But for now, the short version is the following. Whenever you have those thoughts pop up, put them in the past tense. No, I used to be a person without discipline, but I am getting better and better and better. You insert a new belief that is growth oriented. And I'm saying growth oriented because if you go from I'm a loser to I'm the biggest goat of all time, huge gap. And I can't even express it with my hands because I'm short. But the thing is, the difference is so big that your mind is going to say, no, you are full of crap. So when you say, I used to be a disciplined person, you're here, but I'm getting better, that is doing this. That is taking small steps to improve your discipline, to improve your confidence, to improve your self-control. And now, if you match it with your actions, with doing small things to push yourself out of your comfort zone, when you do that, now your mind starts saying, you know what? You are making changes. And over time, you can start anchoring that I am a disciplined person. But that comes after this growth phase. So please keep that in mind as the first step, because you will never become disciplined while at the same time you tell yourself, I can never get things done, or I'm just not a disciplined person, or I'm a loser. Either one of these has to go. Either you give up on your dream of becoming more disciplined and achieving your goals, or you give up on the language and the story you've been telling yourself for the past few years, or maybe even your entire life. Either one of those has to go. So make your call. Second thing then is the following. You need to know why you are doing it. Because the mistake a lot of people make, my former self included, is that we try to go off of logic. Because we as people have the ability to speak, to reason, to think, unlike other animals. However, at our core, about 96% of our lives are run by our subconscious, just like any other animal on this planet. So guess what? Animals, they don't understand the language of logic. They understand that of emotion, of feelings. And that is powerful. That's why you need it. So what you would do with this step is the following. You take a goal. You write it out on a piece of paper at the very top. And then you ask yourself, why is this important to me? Why is this a must for me to achieve? Not a nice to have, not a should, not a want. Why is it a must for me? And you write down your answer. And then what you do is you ask the same question about your answer. Why is that thing crucial to me? And then you write out the answer again. And you ask the same question. Why is that thing important to me? Why is the must that this thing happens? And you write out the answer. Because you need to layer in emotion after emotion after emotion. It is one thing to say, I want to be in better shape. Just a logical goal. However, maybe you're a parent. And then you say, I want my children to grow up happy and fit and just healthy. So when I lose weight, I make sure that I set an example that they can follow, that they can be proud of their father. Guess which one of those has more emotion? Guess which one you're more likely to follow through on. It is the second one, because it is loaded with emotion. So here's the thing. Any goal that you set for yourself is going to be difficult. There are going to be setbacks, you're going to fail, you're going to need to push outside of your comfort zone, and it's going to be very uncomfortable. That is the price to pay for the life that you desire. Pain after pain after pain, struggle after struggle after struggle, setback after setback after setback, failure after failure after failure. Period. Any worthwhile goal requires sacrifice. I'm not here to sugarcoat it and say everything is going to be perfect. There are some fairies out there in the wilderness somewhere that can give you that kind of content. I am not that person. You need to push your boundaries like this. And the only way you can push through when life gets in the way, when shit hits the fan, is to know exactly why deep down inside you are doing the things that you are doing. Period. Unless you have that, you will give up at the first sign of resistance. So before you go to bed tonight, get out a pen and write it down. What is your goal? Why do you want to achieve it? Why is the reason you just gave? Why is that important to you? Go through this why question several times until you get emotional. If you feel like you're about to cry, or you're actually crying about what you're writing down, that's when you know you have something that is so emotionally powerful that you will get there. And by the way, let me give you an example of this. It's actually the reason why we're here, why you are watching this video with me. I used to be bullied in my life. I used to be depressed. I used to have this moment in my life where I'm like, this is never gonna get better. Maybe I should just end it. I have had that moment in my life. But then there's also this voice inside of my mind that chose to get better, that said, no, Michael, you can do 100 times more than you are doing today. Don't give up on yourself. Your bullies are in the wrong here, not you. And then I chose personal growth. And I want to share these lessons with you because I know there are some other people out there, maybe you, who are struggling, who are suffering just like I had. And my goal, my emotional reason why, is that I want to be the person that I wish I had when I was going through my darkest times, when I was learning, so that instead of taking about 15 years to get to this level, it would have taken me 3. That's the person I want to be for you as well. So by the way, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and press the like button. But please, realize, what do you think is going to be more powerful in moving me? Is it I want to build a successful business online? Or is it I want to be the mentor that I never had in my life for a lot of other people who are struggling just like I am? That is the shift. And once you start making this from a logical goal of I want X, I want Y, I want Z, into this at the core is why I must, not why I want to, why I must succeed at this. Once you make that step, now you have the foundation for building discipline. But that's only the beginning. Now we go into the actual tactics that you can do on a daily basis. And these are the exact same steps that I used when I had zero discipline. Because I was never taught this as a child. Because in high school, for example, I just breezed through it. Even for my final exams in my final year, I started the night before. Whereas most of my classmates, they started studying a month in advance. And I still passed. I have some level of intelligence. But because of that, everything was easy in school. But I failed in university because the level was much higher and I never actually learned how to apply myself to anything, how to actually be disciplined, to control myself. And so in university, I failed epically. I got a whopping 6 points out of 60, where you needed at least 42 to pass and to be able to go into the next year. So that is where a lack of discipline is going to get you. And that's why I really had to struggle and to figure out, how do I actually build discipline? And this is the process that I came up with and that I've followed myself. So this is something that I call the 10-second rule. The first step here is to realize that discipline, it is a muscle. Just like you would go to the gym and you would pick up some of the lightest weights and you're like, you can barely do it because it's the first time you've been to the gym. Discipline is going to be the same way as well. Because when you first try to push yourself to do something huge, it's not going to work. You train this up bit by bit by bit by bit, step by step by step, just like any other muscle in your body. So think about it like a muscle, or if you will, think about it like a skill. Because just like a video game, if you go like playing RuneScape, for example, you are just, with your pickaxe, you're mining, you're leveling up as you go, but it takes time. With discipline, it is the same thing. You trying to be disciplined for, let's say, 100 days straight. Right now, if you have no discipline, you're probably not going to make it. However, if you go and you last until day 11, if you try it again, you try it with a higher skill level. You've done it before a bit, and now you have developed a little bit of a learning of how to be more disciplined. So now the next time maybe you reach day 20, and maybe after you try it then you reach day 30, and maybe after then day 40, and maybe after then it becomes so reinforcing that you actually don't want to quit. That is the point that we want to reach, because I want you to realize that once you start seeing some results, that becomes a reinforcing factor. Once you start seeing, I'm doing X, and that gets me Y, that feels good. People think you need motivation to make progress, but in reality, you make progress, and that gives you the motivation to keep on going. That gives you the motivation to become more disciplined and to stay more disciplined and to have that self-control. So going back to the tactics here, the 10-second rule says the following. Pick something that you can do within, you guessed it, 10 seconds. In my case, I chose to do 3 push-ups. Only 3. Then what I did was I set alarms randomly throughout my day. And whenever the alarm went off, I would go and do those 3 push-ups immediately. Did this get me some weird looks from my colleagues? Yeah, it did. Was it like uncomfortable sometimes when you're in public and suddenly you're like dropping to the ground and you're doing 3 push-ups and then you continue walking like nothing happened? Yeah, it definitely was, and I definitely got some strange looks from people. Who the fuck cares? Do you want to become your best self, or do you want the approval of the people you are trying to outgrow? You can have either one of those. Make your choice. So what I would do anytime the alarm went off was to do that task of 3 push-ups. And it wasn't about the exercise. It wasn't about getting healthier. What you're doing with this tactic is you're saying to yourself that you can take action on demand, that you can do it, that you do have control over yourself, over your actions, that you can be disciplined whenever you want to. And you're training that muscle of discipline. You're training up your skill. So that's where I started, until I was very consistent at doing this. And what I did with this method is that anytime I would do the exercise, the 3 push-ups, I would then remind myself, look, I did it. I took action whenever I said I wanted to take action. And I reinforced this through my mind all the time, through my language. I would literally just pat myself on the shoulder and say, you know what, I fucking did it. And I can do more. That is how you start doing it. And then once you are consistent with this method, what you would do is you would set maybe an alarm at a specific time. Maybe when you know you are done with dinner and you want to work on your side project. You set an alarm for when you know you will be available. When the alarm goes off, you just either turn it off or you leave it on, whatever, and you go to your computer and you get to work. Maybe it's just for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. The length doesn't matter. Again, you want to reinforce that if I say I'm gonna do this thing at this time, I freaking will do it. That is what you want to reinforce over and over and over again. So here's my challenge to you. If you want to put this into practice, pick one action. Find something that if you did it, maybe it is waking up early, maybe it is exercising every day, maybe it is posting one piece of content every day if you try to build a business. Whatever it is for you, just go and pick up one of these things, a magical device that nobody uses anymore called a pen, and write down a lot of the things that you could be doing and find out one thing that you think is gonna be the driving factor. For example, if you wake up earlier, that can also lead to you working on your business in the morning because you have more time. That can also lead to you exercising more. Or if you decide that daily exercise is your one thing, then maybe you're feeling healthier, you're feeling fitter, and that helps you to tackle other areas of your life as well. So try to find something that compounds. That if you get better at this thing, it has snowballing effects on other areas of your life. If you find it, only focus on that one thing. And now for the next 100 days straight, try and do that thing. You can get a calendar and just hang it on your wall and just check off any day in a row that you do it. Check, 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 check. And maybe after 2 weeks, you have to mark an X. Doesn't feel good. But that's one thing of literally having it very visible, maybe on your wall behind you. And then checking off the days. That becomes a reward in itself. Because it feels good to say, you know what? I said I was going to do this thing. I freaking did it. Yeah. And you check it off. Or when you don't do it on a certain day and you have to mark the X. Doesn't feel very good, does it? To admit that you weren't living up to your own standard. But that's okay. You can also just start again. And the goal with this is to do this for 100 days straight. And when you do, not only has the one habit become something that you do over and over again, that you're consistent at, in addition to that, transferring your skill to discipline and using it for other things has become way easier as well. And because of the mechanism that you're using, of constantly reinforcing it every single day, of saying it to yourself, I can do this. I'm actually freaking doing it. You prove it to yourself and you reinforce it. By doing that, you will actually build the self-control and the discipline that you need to tackle your goals. But if you don't want to do this alone, I've just started a brand new community called the Men's Mindset Gym, which is all about people just like yourself to level up in life and to do it with a community and with top tier educational resources so that you can become your best self. Right now there's going to be a link right below this video where you can sign up for absolutely free and become one of the founding members. This community is not going to stay free forever. So when you click the link below and it's still free, go ahead and join it before I start charging for this community. And with this community, you have accountability. You have other people who want to see you grow. And you have the resources and the education that you need to actually pull it off, to become your best, most disciplined, most self-controlled self. So go ahead, click that link now and start your journey of personal growth. My name is Michael. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.